Good evening, good morning, good lunchtime. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Depends what day you're listening to this, really, doesn't it?
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, and welcome to episode 2 of Half Hammered Horror. We are your hosts. I am Jamie Hercules McKellar, and this is...
Laura Maleficent Magnificent McWilliams.
Jesus Christ. You might notice things are new. We got a new set. We built a set. So we noticed at the end of the first episode, towards the end, we were slumping into oblivion.
Like badgers in a set.
I mean, they'd be cozy. They'd be so cozy in our little set. But we were, gravity was against us. The rum and the gin was flowing strongly through us. And I feel like towards the end, we were just we were melting into nothingness. Yes?
Accurate.
Accurate statement. So we thought, what should we do? Let's build a massive desk, 90% of which you can't see. So that's fine. I mean, you know, it was a lot
It's got shelves in it.
It was a lot of work, and you can't even see most of it. But it's very nice. Shout out to Andy Love, a.k.a. Chester Mapleforth, a.k.a. Abraham Van Helsing. Probably more, but it's been a long 10 years.
The guy with the eyes in a box.
The guy with the eyes in a box. Eyes in a box from the Tim Helsing Halloween special. So,
know your red shirt stuff.
Yeah, go watch our stuff. What is wrong with you? Why are you even here? I had too much to drink before we started recording, which is a rookie mistake. We'll get the balance in the end.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking this week the same as last week, apparently, because I put Laura in charge of getting my drinks while I set up the office space for filming, and she just basically brought me the same thing that I drank last week. So
well, we've got other options. Branch
yeah,
out,
but you've
mate.
Right. I need to. Can I talk?
Wait,
right, so
no.
my drink in a nutshell, same as last week: rum, JW spices, and some Coke. It's fine. Laura, right? I'm not going to tell you what the drink is, but it involves one orange and a really dirty hacksaw that she found in the office. An orange and a really dirty hacksaw that she found in the office. I don't know how I feel about what's happening right now. Take it away.
Well, I mean, I ran out of gin for a start, so I bought this bottle of Armagnac.
Is that the one my dad sent?
It is from France.
He sends me almond
I
all the way
told
from
my
France.
mum earlier today that I was intending on drinking this tonight, and she said, "Oh, Armagnac, be careful with that."
Be careful with Armagnac.
And I've also mixed it with a delicate Morrison's soda water. And then I wanted to give it a little bit of zest, so I bought an orange, which, can I just point out, I don't know if you can see this, but the orange has an arsehole. A little puckered arsehole. It looks like it's got eyes and an arsehole now. Jamie's going to zoom in a little bit there. So
I'm going to crop in real hard.
And then I was like, I'll just cut it. But the office, we don't have sharp knives. We've got a lot of
The joke
knives.
is that there are definitely a couple of sharp knives up in the kitchen, but I suppose using a hacksaw is...
Look at this. Laura cuts off finger.
No, stop. This is not good. This is not good listening for our podcast listeners.
There you go. He needs a friggin' knife. Twist.
We are talking... At some point tonight, we're going to be talking about horror video games. Horror video game films. Games that were turned from films into video games and vice versa. What we'd like to see turned into a video game or a film or vice versa. But before that, we're going to do the recap. So we watched, again, a lot of horror films over the last few weeks. We had a cage fight.
Cage fight.
We had a cage fight. This was an interesting evening, wasn't it? This was an interesting evening. We watched a pair of horror films starring none other...
Nicolas Cage.
Not the bees!
How to get burned.
How to get burned!
How to get burned.
How to get burned!
How to get burned.
How to get burned! Oh, he's such a guy. He's such a guy.
Right. We got both of these films on our little holiday to Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like judging a book by its cover.
We found a fop.
We found a fop.
We found a fop.
We found a fop.
A fop in the
They
wild.
had a really good horror section.
So good.
Shout out to Fop. And Yeah, we chose the films Mandy and Mum and Dad.
Mom and Dad.
Mum and Dad. And though, we should have brought them with us, really, but the artwork suggested to me that we were in for a treat.
The artwork for Mandy is beautiful, and all of the promotion for Mandy was amazing. Mum and Dad was a little bit, I think it was a bit out of the blue. Not as many people have heard of Mum and Dad as Mandy. I think Mandy is a much more kind of, it's a cult one. And this is interesting because it's really divided us. This truly brought the Marmite effect into play.
Oh, it did. Where's that Marmite jar?
Because I put it over there because I thought copyright might be an issue having a Marmite jar.
Marmite.
So I loved Mandy. I absolutely adored it.
I fargin' hated it.
She was so mad by the end, like the rage.
I had to resort to playing games on my phone.
She did.
I was livid. I was livid. I did not have a good time.
So
It was pretty, and it sounded good, and it looked good, but what the Frankenweenie?
I think it's an interesting one because we normally kind of come out of films and are together in our opinion on them. We watch a film and we're going to go, yeah, it's quite rare that a film splits us. Yeah, I think normally we come out of film and we both feel the same way about it, and I think that this is a very odd one because I mean like we were so divided on it because I absolutely adored it. Like I think it's one of my favorite films of the year.
I'm getting angry thinking about it.
You're even talking about it now. So. We sort of made a vow when we went into this. We made a vow, like because I think we said in episode 1, we're not the sort of people that preemptively hate stuff. We will always give it the time of day. We like taking part in the hype, don't we? We like getting involved in the excitement. We get on the hype train. We buy the ticket. We choop it all the way through. But at some point, yeah, I always know because you start playing the game where it's like kind of overcooked, but on the phone. You basically. It's interesting because Laura works in a cinema/restaurant as a manager, so her day job is serving people popcorn and tickets and food and whatnot, and then she comes home and she sits on her phone and she serves people food, and cakes. But there's a sense of completion to it. You'll never get a 1-star TripAdvisor review on your phone, love.
Well, I don't know.
The heartbreak is real.
I'm on a really difficult level at the moment.
That's the
whole
real
other story.
So, let's talk Mandy. Let's talk about what did you not dig about Mandy?
Without spoilers.
Okay. Yeah, avoid spoilers because I know a lot of people...
I just felt like it was really slow and there was lots of talking. And you know, when people talk a lot, I just kind of... And it was weird. Like, I don't know. I just didn't like it. It made me sad. And probably the first third of the film, I thought was really engaging.
Okay.
And I was having a good time. And there was a couple of points in it, like 2 points at least, where Nicolas Cage goes full on like
Nicolas Cage. There's the scene where all I'm going to say is the scene in the toilet.
Yeah.
It's around the sort of beginning of the second act, and he goes. There's no cuts, and clearly the director says, "So this is what's happening. Show me." And he does. He does.
I do feel a bit like I'm not sure who wrote or directed it. To be honest, that's a bit ignorant of me. But I felt a bit like whoever did this had seen Nicolas Cage in stuff and been like, do you know what?
What do people love about Nicolas Cage? They love when he just goes, child,
take my hand, child. He said a whole sentence. I don't know what he said, but he screamed it really loud, and I was like, that was hilarious, but I don't know what he said. And then it just went downhill again after that.
I mean, he's interesting because he has this whole thing where somebody said of him, I think it was Sean Penn said, he's no longer an actor. He's a performance artist, which makes fantastic sense because, you know, there was a point where he was because it's like his early stuff, like Raising Arizona. You can tell like he fits within the films, and you're watching the film, and he doesn't feel like he's bursting at the seams. Like he's still a great actor, but like the thing was now you watch him in any film. And as sort of low level filmmakers that we are, I would be kind of terrified to work with him because I'd be like, what?
You're waiting for the moment where he snaps.
Yeah. You kind of like, it's like with that Christian Bale sort of thing. You kind of think you just got to kind of point them in the right direction and just let them go.
Good for you.
Good for you. Just kind of hope that everything's going to be all right. But on the flippity flop, I love Mandy. I had a great time. I just kind of sat like that through the whole thing. I felt like I like to mess around with cameras. I don't by any means call myself a photographer or a videographer or anything like that, or a director of photography. I work with people who are like way better and much more knowledgeable, but I love to sort of play with images and how things look. And there were so many moments where what they captured in frame was it was candy for the eyes, and I just loved it. There was that long scene where they're both sat on the sofa together, and they'd shot it through some kind of gauze or filter, and it kind of made this split focus effect. And I just thought it was amazing.
Yeah, they live in this really cool house where like
the bed and the bed is like tucked into like a big 3-sided window, and I thought that was all very cool. And
very cool.
Then the actual the choreography of it, it's a very basic revenge film, really. When you break it down, it's basically something horrible happens. Nick Cage goes on some kind of tremendous revenge,
rampage,
bit of vengeance, as they call it, and it just goes nuts. And through devices in the story, kind of gains powers similar to the people that have wronged him, and the violence is brief but spectacular. And
more. I wanted more.
I like that it kind of, again, trying to avoid spoilers, it kind of got grounded by a couple of conversational scenes, which I think they lost you, and I think that's why you didn't enjoy it as much, because you couldn't hang in there.
It wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It sells itself mainly on this kind of like 80s
the box art
run
of Nicolas Cage wearing friggin' bullet. What do you call him?
Body armor. He's got like body armor and bullet belt and all sort of things.
And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, no, I can see that. It kind of, it's a very slow burn film, especially like the first half of it is very kind of, it's very sedate, it takes its time, and the flashes of like peak violence are so tremendous, and then it kind of slows itself down and deals with this turmoil, and then just launches into this spectacular chainsaw battling revenge story. Revenge. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was. I think I kind of knew what I was going into more than you did, and maybe that's why. I think you should watch it again. I think not now, not now. I'm thinking like maybe 6 months from now.
6 months.
You should revisit. I think you should. I think we should revisit. I think we should revisit the Revenge Vigilante story. I think you should give it another go in a few months' time, knowing now what you're going into. Before we go further, quick shout out to our first kind of sponsor. Okay, Last Shirt on the Left. Google those. They made this fantastic shirt, the Zombie Flesh Eaters. Basically, every shirt I own now and wear with pride was made by Last Shirt on the Left. They're going to send us a load of stickers in the post as well to decorate our lovely little set. So anything you see on the Christmas special, all the cool little stickers on the front, the Predator one that's just down there, the t-shirt that I'm wearing, Last Shirt on the Left, they're awesome guys. I love their stuff. They're not affiliated with us in any way. They're based in York, and I just kind of found out about their clothing line a few months ago, and I cannot stop. Mostly because their t-shirts fit really nicely. For a larger man with a little bit of chub around the middle, very discreet. Soft. Hides the pudding, fits well. Contours around the bosom in a very pleasing fashion.
Hides the pudding.
So Mum and Dad, starring Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair. This was the second Cage fight in the Cage fight. But I would say, do you know what? I mean, this was a weird one, wasn't it?
I bloody loved it.
I loved it. I just wish it had an ending.
It left me hanging real bad.
It's this absolutely bonkers idea. It reminded me of... Was it Stephen King that wrote Cell? It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it reminded me of that. If you've read Cell, and I think we're still waiting for Cell to be released. Eli Roth is directing Cell, I believe. We've been waiting on this one for a while. I think a trailer dropped for it. Cell is this whole idea that one day all these mobile phones start ringing, cell phones, as the Americans like to call them. People answer them, they hear a tone or a sound, and they go absolutely bonkers. And they just start killing everybody. The book is fantastic. I'm very excited about the film. We talked about Stephen King adaptations last time on the podcast, so I'm not really holding my breath regarding it, because, the adaptations of Stephen King stuff is often questionable. Yeah? Questionable?
Yeah, questionable.
Questionable. Yeah. Hey, you take the lead on this one, Mum and Dad. You think you enjoyed it more than me?
So, if you're not aware, the premise of it is basically, and it's not a spoiler because it's on the Blu-ray case or whatever. They're a couple. They've got kids. All that jazz. And there's this kind of virus that occurs. We don't know if it's just locally or if it's worldwide, because I don't think that's explained.
Nope.
Weird. But it makes people want to kill their children.
And rightly so.
Yeah, fair. Little bastards. It's a very cool idea. And I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
But like we said,
the
last few minutes of it is very disappointing. It doesn't really...
It feels like
any closure.
Yeah, that's the thing. It feels like it gets to the beginning of the final act and then just stops. And I get it. Like we work in financial constraints quite a lot, and we have to deal with having to make a lot of decisions. But
I feel a bit like it was like, oh, okay, so this happens, and then oh yeah, that, and then oh, okay, bye.
It has the greatest cameo from Lance Henriksen.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Lance Henriksen?
It is.
Yes, it's Lance Henriksen, Bishop, Aliens. His cameo is, and I almost like wanted more of him. I mean, who doesn't want more Lenriksen in their lives? But yeah, no, it felt like it got to. It felt like it sort of got to like the final act, and then just kind of it stopped. Which often can work in storytelling. You can kind of Sopranos, you know that hard cut to black where you kind of go, oh. Yeah, and it deliberately robs you of something.
In this case, we both agreed that it wasn't.
No,
what we wanted.
I mean, in a way, it was kind of victim of its own energy because it was such a frenetic film that there's all this chaos going on, and it built up and up and up and up and up, and it finally got to this point where you felt like, and then it just stops, and you kind of go. It is. I mean, it's a clean ending.
Yeah.
It is a clean ending, and the punchline, the final line that they deliver is great, but I wanted more of it. I wanted more. I just felt like someone, after we posted up on the Facebook page that we'd watched it, I think it was Chris, who, what? I feel like somebody, sorry, if you're watching this and I'm completely blanked who it was, someone said it felt kind of victim by its own scale. Like, you say you didn't know if it's worldwide. A lot of it is set in the family house. And that works, like films like Better Watch Out, the Christmas film, which we're going to probably talk about next episode. You know, you remember the one with the babysitter and the little boy, Home Alone, but horror. Do you remember that one?
No, mate.
The one.
You know my memory.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about. Well, I remember it. It was that was all set in a house, and it was kind of like a horror movie. Home Alone is what it set up itself to be, and it was very cool. I really enjoyed it. But that was all set in one location, and you know, Saw, Cube, so many films can be set in one location. But I think because it kind of stepped out of that location and went bigger into the schools and the neighborhood and stuff, I kind of felt like that all it opened itself up and then closed back down again.
Yeah.
And I think if they had just kept it in the same. If they kept it all in the house, which you could have very easily done, they didn't need to follow people out into the wild. If they kept it all in the
But even
suburb.
in the enclosed bits, there were quite a lot of questions that didn't get answered. Like why that boy who clearly was old enough to be at school wasn't at school, and why he wore his pyjamas all the time.
I mean, pyjamas are awesome, to be fair. Like when we're not in public, we're probably wearing pyjamas. Why would you not wear it? Why would you
never.
Why would you never ever not wear pyjamas?
You wouldn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Again, Nicolas Cage let loose, going proper bonkers. I would say check them both out, honestly. Like, they're real
on the same
short.
night.
Go for the Cage fight. Go for the Cage fight. You can never go wrong with 2 Nicolas Cage films. Because even if
can.
No, because even if you don't enjoy them, there's still moments where you just go, oh, holy shit. Because even if you didn't enjoy Mandy, there are moments in that film where you were just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's true.
And you are, I've got to, unfortunately, you're in the minority on Mandy. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No,
I'm not saying that at all. Because everyone's...
No, that's not the thing. It's just that it wasn't for me.
I made a terrible mistake.
It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
That's fine.
I know.
That's fine.
Thanks.
I'm just letting you know that your opinion matters.
Thanks.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So that's what we've watched this week. We've watched more, but we're not going to sit here and ream off every single horror film that we've watched. Next fortnight, we will. We're going to try and cram in like 10 horror movie Christmas films, Christmas horror movies, horror Christmassy, Chris horror.
Well, I watched A
Horrormas.
Christmas Prince the other day.
Yeah, that's
So
horrifying.
I've got started on that already.
Not sure that qualifies. Isn't
Have
it
you
like,
seen it?
It stars Liv from iZombie, I
does.
believe. Does it have Raoul Coley in though?
No.
Who, man crush of the century. Bloody love him. If you don't follow Raoul Coley on Twitter, he's the best. The salt that man emits is remarkable. He doesn't take any nonsense from anybody.
The salt.
The salt. The saltiness. Salt. You know when you're a bit salty? You're a bit salty? You're like, salty. No? Don't look at me like that. I'm not using this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening or watching the Half Hammered Horror Episode 2 podcast and you've heard the term the salt or the saltiness, please let us know in the comments below, because what's this face all about? What the fuck? Look what I have to put up with. Unbelievable.
Oh, salty.
Oh, salty.
Oh.
Horror video games.
Horror video games.
We love video games, and we love horror.
Perhaps too much.
I approach life as a video game, often. Like bank balances, numbers, video game. Weight, health, numbers, video game. Yeah. It's become a bit unhealthy. But more than that, I love horror video games.
I love them, but I also fear them.
You can't play them, can you?
No,
No,
I'm
you have
scared.
some
I have to
real
have a drink
issues.
first. Or, no, I have to have a drink first. Yeah. Oh, no, well, some scary games are fine, but some scary games I cannot. For example, Outlast. No. I can Resident Evil, the original ones, but that new shit, no thanks. I don't want to be chased around the house by a freaky old lady.
Are you talking about Resident Evil 7? You're talking about...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Whew, emotions. So similar to like last week when we talked about where did our relationship with video, with horror movies begin. We talked about like old VHS stores and not pirating video games, but sneaking into cinemas when your sister pirated a film. Let's go into like the beginning of horror video games.
Yeah.
So for me, 1996, Resident Evil 1, PlayStation 1, and myself and Alan, a guy that I went to school with, I knew him since we were like 10, 11 years old. We kind of grew up together for about 10 years until we kind of split. Why is that so funny? Why is my childhood so amusing to you?
We kind of grew up together for about 10 years.
I mean, that's just history. That's just me giving some kind of backstory to...
Grew up together.
Yeah?
For about 10 years.
I mean, I'm wondering if anybody else is going to find this as funny as you are. Like
you're constantly growing up.
Which we
for
were.
10 years.
Which we did. Which we did. We met each other when we were like 11 years old, and we knew each other till, I mean, I moved away to uni when I was like 18, but I came back and... What the actual fuck?
Sorry, go on.
Well, no, I'm glad my childhood is a source of such relentless amusement to you. Wow.
How rude of me.
How rude of you. But yes, Alan and I grew up together for about 10 years. And do you want time out? We had like a bit of an ongoing thing about like consoles and, you know, I was always a step ahead of me with computers and stuff. Like he built gaming PCs and stuff, and what's wrong with you? He built gaming PCs and was always like a kind of step ahead of me with consoles and stuff. He was always, even from like when we were like younger kids, and like he was the first guy to get hey. I told this thing to be quiet. It's just apparently I've burnt all of my day's supply of calories by being on a podcast, so that's good. It's all this I'm doing. My arms.
You know they elbowed me in the face then.
So yeah, one day we were, it was around the PS1 got launched. This is really weird now. This has made my head gone a bit weird because I'm sure the PS1 came out around like 93, 94, but it must have been later than that because me and Al, we hired one from Blockbuster Video. This is back when Blockbuster...
Oh!
Are you going to let me finish my fucking story? Or are you going to mock my entire childhood? Do you want to just pull my entire youth apart and disassemble it for your own goddamn amusement? Can I finish it? Thanks, mate. So we do you not remember this? Like Blockbuster Video used to let you hire games consoles out, and you would get them in like an awesome little suitcase. And we hired the PS1 out, and it came in this like big plastic grey suitcase. And like at the time, we were like, "This is the coolest thing we've ever seen. This is amazing." And we got a copy of Resident Evil 1, or just Resident Evil as it was known at the time. And it had that whole FMV opening with the Stars team being chased by the dogs. And then off you went. You're in the mansion in Raccoon City. What was it called? The mansion?
Oh.
But it had all the umbrella stuff and the tyrant, and yeah, man, that was like our first. And we stayed up all night. We got home about sort of 9 o'clock. We got a couple of pizzas and some beers, and we just sat in my flat and we just played this thing all the way through. That's right. I had my own flat when I was 16.
What?
You don't know this?
Oh!
You don't know this?
No.
I mean, it was attached to my mum's house, but still, it was my own flat. It's a whole different thing. But we sat and we played the Resident Evil 1 all the way through, and it was so good. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. And still, I think, like, the most terrifying moment in video game horror history ever was those goddamn dogs coming through the glass. I have never... It was unheard of, like, to have a jump scare in a video game. Video games were like Jumping Jack Flash and Lemmings and...
Oh, Lemmings is pretty friggin' scary.
You know, all like the Chaos Engine and stuff and Codemasters, Micro Machines and Sensible Soccer. And suddenly there's this game where there are zombies and there are people and they're like, their heads ripped off and throats bitten out. And we just couldn't understand it. We were like, what is even happening? This is like all the films we've spent the last few years watching. It was mental.
Let me talk about my horror gaming video experience. Well, I was going to say, it's a weird coincidence, but the first proper... Oh, Jesus. The first proper horror video game that I remember playing was Resident Evil 2. And I was going to say it's weird that it was Resident Evil for me and you, but then what other horror video games were around? I know I played Silent Hill. But yeah, back to my story. So me and my little sister used to play video games a lot. My dad loved video games, and so he always used to like be playing them, and we'd be in the background, like he'd play driving games, and we'd sit behind him and pretend that we were in the car, and we'd make him stop and drop us off at places. And then I think that a new girl started at school. She moved in a few houses away, and we made friends with her, and she had Resident Evil 2, and she brought it over to ours and lent it to us, and we played it to death. I always used to make Amy, my sister, play because she's a lot braver than I am, despite the fact that I can make her cry really easily by chasing her with a dog noise.
You've mentioned causing emotional distress to your sister twice now.
Yeah.
I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
She knows it.
Okay.
But yeah, we used to love Resident Evil 2 over and over, and had so many funny, like, one-liners that came from it. And one of my friends at college, Ben, we, to this very day, still quote Resident Evil to each other. It was at college, we would still play it, and it would be the time when we were watching Spaced, when that was on TV. And they had Resident Evil references in that as well, so that just made it even cooler for us. Yeah. Resident Evil's just...
It's the business. It had, as a franchise, it had some weak moments, for sure. Like 1 and 2 are phenomenal, and I'm beyond hyped for Resident Evil 2 remake to drop next year. Oh my Christ!
There was a new trailer the other day, and I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. Everything I've seen about it looks flawless. Like the original. Like when I see these remakes coming out, I'm always a bit like, oh, okay. Fair enough. But like this, it's a reimagining in a way. Like it looks like a completely different game. It's taken the idea, but it's just brought it up into like the damage thing they've got going on. Where it's like if you shoot something somewhere, it will have a relatable amount of damage on. Looks just, oh, I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. It's unreal.
I wonder if they'll retain some of the memorable things, like lines and stuff like, looks like your party's been cancelled.
I can only hope.
Can I ask you a question?
You can.
Horror video games.
Yes.
Old and new.
Okay.
What is your favourite?
Okay.
Okay, wait. You can give an old one, and you can give a new one.
So, my intro was Resident Evil, and I think overall as a franchise, that's my favourite one. I love Resident Evil 1 and 2 particularly. Resident Evil 7 was fantastic. Like at first I was unsure. Remember when I played it through, I was like, "How?"
Don't play it in VR though, mate.
No, we bought a PSVR recently, and I was so hyped about playing Resi 7 in VR, and I lasted about 5 minutes. I felt sick for longer than I played. I played for about 5 minutes. I got through the woods, and I got to the bit where you're about to go into the house, and I took it off, and I was like, I was seasick. I got up and I walked into the kitchen, didn't I? And I was like, we had some friends over. And like everyone was like, "You okay?" And like I'm really pale. And I was like, "No, I'm going to be sick." And I genuinely thought I was going to be sick. It was horrible, and I was so upset because I was so excited about playing this game in VR, and I couldn't do it. I was devastated. But honestly, I think my favorite ever horror video game has to be Dead Space.
Oh, okay.
The first Dead Space was incredible because it kind of took, like in Resident Evil, you always felt, at least I always felt like I was prepared for what was coming. Like you from the start, you got your tactical gear on, your body armor, you got your little knee pads and your wrist pads because that's what you need when you're fighting zombies, and you got your handgun. And even when you first meet the first zombie and it's eating the stars guy in the corridor, you know, you go through the room where the fireplace is, you turn left and it's just like, and it does that slow motion like, and you go pop, 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 and it drops. You're like, okay, cool. Whereas Dead Space, that first bit when all the aliens drop in, what are they called? Something morphs, aren't they? I don't call them limomorphs because the whole Dead Space, if you haven't played it, you've got to blow the limbs off. But you have nothing. Like the first encounter on that game, you've just got to run.
Which
otherwise, you get wrecked, and it's so horrible. And you get your plasma cutter, and you start popping off some limbs.
Another My Sister story for everybody.
Oh, Jesus, what have you done?
Me and my now brother-in-law forced her to play Dead Space. She really didn't want to, and it was hilarious.
Was that it? That was the story.
Funny to watch.
Literally at gunpoint. Play this game.
No.
Play this game or I'll kill you. Dead Space 2 was great. Felt like a big, like, it was Aliens to Alien. Yeah, Dead Space, the first one, felt very claustrophobic, lots of long corridors and just all-out terror. Whereas Dead Space 2 just felt kind of bigger. And Isaac started talking, of course. Like in the first one, Isaac doesn't talk. And then the second one, Isaac, the main protagonist, he starts to talk. And then there was Dead Space 3. And there was Dead Space 3. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart. It was like they skipped Alien 3 and went straight to Alien Resurrection. Suddenly it was, it's a fun game, but it's an action game. It turned into a shooter. It felt like Lost Planet. Remember Lost Planet on the PS3? Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like, again, you were overpowered, you were just blowing legs off, and I can't remember anything. I remember Dead Space 2 opening up with the whole thing with Isaac in the room with the gurney, and you having to like get out of it, and there's a bit with the eyeball when you've got to like,
no thanks.
Yeah, it's horrible, and there's all the terrifying stuff that happens, and it was just incredible. And Dead Space 3, there was some snow. That's all I remember. That's all I remember. There was some snow, and it was a co-op.
I need to remember.
It was snow. It was snow-op.
Snoop.
It was snow-op. That was kind of it, really. Like, and there've been phenomenal games over the years. Outlast, Until Dawn. I think horror and video games.
Alien Isolation as well.
Oh no,
that was terrifying.
It's still so real.
The fact that like you can hide, but if you keep hiding in the same place, they're gonna remember.
That's a real Mandy of a game. Call back.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. So we put a post out. And I'm going to see if I can, hopefully this doesn't interfere too much. I'm going to just turn my phone on for a second so I can actually get into the list that you guys gave us. We threw a shout out and we wanted to know what horror video games you guys have encountered over the years, which ones kind of really kind of stuck with you, which ones, there we go. View post. God, so this is cool. Like we put a couple of posts out. We're hopefully going to do a section in the next one, which is called the Horror of Horrors, where we watch a film that you guys have told us is no good. Is no good. It's like horror, but so awesomely bad that you've loved it, and we're going to watch it and talk about it. I think the moment the winner is the Beaster Bunny is the one that wins for me at the moment.
Oh, that picture.
Beaster Bunny. The picture sold it to me completely. But yeah, like, here we go. So Owen Lean, Eternal Darkness. That fucking bath. Yes. At first I was like, I didn't remember it. Then he mentioned it. So you get the bit when you go into the bathroom and you see your own corpse in the bathtub looking at you. It's a sound. And it's GameCube as well.
Yeah, I was
which was weird. Like GameCube was like the kind of like weird cousin of horror games for a while. I thought that was really cool. You can go for it. Do you remember that one?
No, I never played it.
Fear, F.E.A.R, was like a J-horror first-person shooter, and there's a bit where you climb up a ladder, and then the girl, who was basically like this kind of Sadako from the Sadako. That's that Ring, isn't it? And the Grudge was
Samara.
Yeah,
Samara was the Ring.
Yeah, Samara was the Ring. Sadako, yeah, there's a girl who's kind of it's clearly based on that kind of imagery. The long, the hair, the eyes, and she's just there looking at you, and it's horrible.
Left 4 Dead.
Yes.
Every time a tank appears. Now, I proper bombed Left 4 Dead. We used to play it so much, but I can't remember the specifics, but I feel like the tank's that really big dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, not the bloater, the one that's like...
Tank was like boom, 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 and just wrecking
was there like a
away.
noise every time he...
Yeah, I think they all have like signature theme tunes.
Yeah. And you could hear it and you'd be like, oh, shit, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Oh, and did we try and play Left 4 Dead? Like a couple of years ago and be like, oh no, it's not, it doesn't stand the test of time.
Oh no, it does. No, Left 4 Dead 2 feels a bit ropey, but Left 4 Dead is just still top.
Let's go back in there.
Yeah. Okay, we're looking at maybe doing some like streams onto YouTube with some gaming stuff once we get our internet sorted out down here.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
The Witch.
Yeah, I replied, The Witch for me was what you go into the room and you'd hear it. Basically feeling like most of us do in our late 30s to early 40s. I feel like The Witch really captured our emotions.
You can't avoid her.
Wait, it is 10 to 12 on a Monday night and someone's drilling through the wall next to us. Listen. That's drilling or a real angry fridge.
Like pipes. Yeah,
Real
the witches.
refugee.
You had to like creep
Sneak by
like out of their
You got real
circumference,
sneak by
but
them
it was
otherwise.
impossible. You couldn't.
No, they'd get you every time.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was
What
real
else have we got
horrible.
on here?
Finding a PDQ in the middle of a
PDA.
pentacle. PDQ card machine. Finding a card machine. Finding a PDA in the middle of a pentangle of candles in Doom 3. Okay, so I just bought an original Xbox today. It's this beautiful crystal Xbox. Remember those? I got it from Sawthorne Games. Go check them out. Kind of hoping they'll sponsor us at some point. It's fine. And I bought Doom 3, which I do remember playing on the PC, but it was like a long time ago. But I remember like you find this PDA and then the room just drops to black and everything's like terrifying sounds. This one's probably more you than me.
Cal O'Connell says that bloody jump scare in Bioshock Infinite, which
I don't remember this.
I absolutely shat my pants. So it's kind of near the end, I think. And you're in this like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that's not. To be fair, okay, so you go into this like control room place and there's a lever at the end of the room. So you go into the room and you're like, oh, there's no bad guys around, I'm all good. Turn the lever, turn around to leave the room and wham, there's this guy behind you. And it's one of those boys of silence, they're called. I think that's right. And they've got like these big horns on the side of their face and they're just a big long like round face and it's right there when you turn around. There's no way it could have got there that quick, but it's a video game, so I'll let it go. But I, and everybody else who's ever played it, I'm sure, has shat their absolute pantaloons. It's disgusting.
Pantaloons.
I think I was like in the house on my own and I just went,
Small squeak. The small squeak. David Doolan, when you find all the bodies on the crew on the first Dead Space game. Necromorph. That's it. Necromorph. And you haven't got a weapon. The helplessness was the worst part. I may have ruined some good underwear. I'm with you, man. The fear was real.
God.
The fear was
Andy Love. Those ghosts in Pac-Man.
Inky, Pinky, and Blinky.
Waka, 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 waka.
Owen Young, either the Xenomorph in Alien Isolation or the entirety of Until Dawn. Okay.
You haven't finished Until Dawn yet, have you?
No. I got to the ski lodge, the
like
cabin.
10 minutes
Yeah,
in.
I got to the cabin bit, and then we had to go somewhere, and I just never went back in. I don't know why. Like it's everything I would want. It's a horror movie video game.
He only plays horror games in the night time though.
Yeah, I play them at late at
And
night.
that's when we watch films.
We do. It's been tricky. And the Xenomorph in Alien Isolation, I just couldn't. I crushed that game until the last section where you've got to go through the room and there's like a few Xenomorphs trundling around, and I must have taken 50 runs at it to the point where I actually packed up the game and I marched it into town and I traded it in because I
And then
was
you watched
so
the ending
mad.
on YouTube.
I watched someone do the gameplay and I was literally like 6-7 minutes from the end. I just couldn't do it.
Didn't
it was
you get
horrible.
it back though?
I bought because I had it because it came out. I think it came out PS4 first, exclusive, and I got the version with Ripley and the Nostromo crew in, and then recently I got it on the Xbox One when I bought the DLC as well, which has got like the new DLC, which is where you play Ripley in the final chapter of Alien, and you've got to get Jonesy and you've got to run and yeah.
The game is her daughter, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's set between Alien and Aliens, and I loved it, but I couldn't do it. James Secker, do you remember Condemned? Condemned Criminal Origins.
I remember
was
it.
great.
In the second game, was there a bear chasing you?
I didn't make it very far in the second one. I played the first one and I loved it, and then the second one I did not really get along with. I don't know. The first one was really frightening.
Like shop dummies.
Yeah, the first one had the shop dummies in where you were going through the warehouse and there were these like frightening mannequins that were like, if you looked away from them, they'd be like...
Oh no, oh my God, that really scared me. What?
Becky Fox, another vote for Until Dawn. Near the beginning, where a raccoon jumps out of a cupboard. I think I actually screamed.
I don't remember that.
I mean, raccoons are terrifying. Okay, Kerry Roberts. Kerry works with us on a lot of things. She's an art director on Chestersburg, and she says transference, the first time you take a shotgun to the face. Screamed and haven't played it since the second time I took a shotgun to the face. I've never even heard of this game.
I've not either.
And I googled it. Apparently it came out in September 2018.
Oh.
It's on the PS4. Never heard of it. We're gonna check it out, I think. Ben Turner, the ending of Knights of the Old Republic 2, it was a dirty protest.
Oh.
Something you mean not frightening,
Does
apparently.
he mean he shot himself?
He just shit himself in protest of the game. Then there's me, Jamie McKellar. I'm going to go with the dogs jumping through the window in Resident Evil. I was never the same.
Resident Evil. Okay,
And
so
I have a whole chorus of people joining me.
how
agreeing.
about, was it the The first time you see the liquor on
Resident Evil 2?
when it comes through a two-way mirror or something.
Yeah, you see it the first time when you're going through the police department as Leon, and you see it like past the window. It does like a little weird little stagger, and then the second time you see it, and it's like on the roof, and it goes blop, and it drops down, and then later on it comes through a window. And he's not a good guy.
Bath.
He's not a good guy. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was really spooky. Right, so our door is out there, and I keep hearing people walk around. It's really freaking me out.
I'm really cold, actually.
Should we go close it?
Yeah.
Okay, go close it.
Okay.
Go close it. Laura's going to leave the shot.
I'll be right back.
She's going to be right back. She's going to climb very delicately past all of the microphones, all of the cameras. I'm going to carry on talking. So, Andy, I apologise if I pronounce your name wrong. Andy Ruffin, Andy Rowan, maybe Rowan, I don't know. Resident Evil 2 in Claire B. There's a man who knows his video games. So if you didn't play Resident Evil 2, the great thing about Resi 2, that's our door. It's so good. Resi 2 had basically 4 games in it, didn't it? It had 4 different games in it. You would Leon A, Leon B, Claire A, Claire B. If you watch the intro, FMV, it wasn't FMV, no, because Resi 1 was FMV. Hi, Laura. And Resi 2, they realised it was better to stick with the graphical gameplay kind of graphics. They stuck with the graphics. And there was a whole thing where if you played through game A or game B, the car at the beginning in the crash would spin during the crash. Do you remember this? And it would either the front end of the car would crash, meaning that Claire got out the left, or it would spin in the crash and Claire would get out the right, and then that would dictate which path you took the character on. It was
I remember.
fucking awesome for its time. Like, what an absolute, like, it was mind blowing. I remember, like, gosh, it's so awkward. Guys, this is why we need another room to film it. It's so cramped in here. Yeah, that was so cool. And he says, so Andy says, when Chief Irons gets dragged into the basement, you walk into the opening, go to open it, and his mangled corpse comes flying out. As a 12-year-old, I was like 20 years old when that game came out. Oh, Jesus. It made me dive for cover. Yeah, Resident Evil 2. I think Resident Evil 2 was I actually prefer Resi 2 to Resi 1, but I think Resident Evil 1 was more frightening. Yeah? Yeah. I think Resident Evil 2 was a bit more action.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 was a bit more action-based. Helen Elizabeth Dempster. Not me, but I know that Steve Dempster. Oh, yeah, so Helen and Steve run the Geek quiz, Geek Pub quiz, which takes place at the Everyman in Harrogate. Every once a month they do it over there, and then they do the York Geek quiz. If you're watching this, you're based in York. Check these guys out. They do a geek quiz every month in York. I think there's one coming up. If you're watching this tonight, it's come out. It's Tuesday after. Tuesday the 18th. Tuesday the 18th. Something like that. That's it. Something like that. There's a Christmas geek quiz happening. It's gonna be awesome. The first time that Tiny the Shark jumped out in Batman Arkham City. I don't remember that. Yes, Arkham City. You go. Because I was thinking about the first one when you're playing and you go into the sewers and Croc is there.
Oh no, that shit me up.
That was horrible. I hated that bit when you're running through the decking and Croc's like.
He owned you, didn't he?
He did cause me some emotional distress. Yeah. The second one when you're in the penguin's lair and it's all frozen and stuff. That was very cool. Nick Smith, Silent Hill, the cafeteria scene with the radio, then everything after that. Do you know Nick?
Yeah.
Is he a friend of yours?
He used to work at Granger Games.
I know. Yes, I remember Nick. I recognise him. I think he's one of those guys that I talked to him a few times because I know you worked at Game. I know I have friends at Game, but I really like Granger Games. There was like a kind of underground grungy. It's probably because they're, no offence to you, Granger Games, it's probably because your shops look a bit like they look to be like shit. Well, I've talked about it. Your shops look like shit. They look like basically like Oxfam versions of game shops. They were not well put together. But I love that.
Welcoming.
They were very welcoming. It felt it didn't, even though they were a chain, it felt like it was like a whole thing. Yeah, the cafeteria scene with the radio in Silent Hill. I'm with you. Everything after that. The first Silent Hill on the PS1 wrecked me. Now, one of the reasons I mentioned I bought an Xbox. 2 reasons. Toe Jam and Earl. 3. Silent Hill 4. I've never played Silent Hill 4. The Room. I've got it on the thing now. Chris Pearson. The moment in Alien Isolation when there's Xenomorph. You were watching me play this. You should tell him about my reaction.
Well,
The locker.
Basically, if you've not played it, Alien Isolation, you can hide from it. Do you have any weapons or anything? At the start, anyway, you might have towards the ends. No? No weapons?
You get a flamethrower.
Flamethrower, yeah, but not at the start. Anyway, you can hide in the ceiling vents, I think. You can hide in a locker. You can hide in little vents in the walls, but xenomorphs are clever. So if you hide in a locker and it doesn't find you, if you then hide in a locker again, it's going to know you're in there.
I think...
And Jamie found out the hard way.
Yeah, I had a flamethrower and it dropped out of an air vent.
Oh, yeah.
And I backed up into a locker and it just caught me as I did it. And it kind of was like...
Like a cat that's stalking.
They're very feline, aren't they? And it kind of came over and I was looking through the vents and it was just like... This little mandible thing was going... Oh, and... All right, love.
No, definitely Aya.
Aya. And
Xenomorph. Aya.
It ripped the door of the locker open and I blasted it with the flamethrower and it bolted up into an air vent. And I was like, yeah, fuck you. And then about an hour later in the game, it dropped into this room and I like ran into a locker and I was like, yeah, boy. And it like came over and it looked at me and I was like, yeah, come on, mate, little flamethrower. Like, oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it went, nah, mate. And it disappeared up into the vents and I was like, what? And then suddenly, bam, the tail came straight through and just skewered me. And I was like, oh, shit.
And that was terrifying.
It was horrible. I screamed like a small child.
Like, we didn't even... It kept saying, like, if you... Cause you played on PlayStation, didn't you? It said if you have the PlayStation camera on, the Xenos can hear you as well.
There's a whole extra element to it, isn't it?
So, like, if you go, it'll hear you and it'll come for you. But we didn't have that on because Jamie couldn't take it.
Horrible, too stressful.
It was too much for him.
There you go, next one.
Mecha Hitler in Wolfenstein 3D. Oh, Anna's. Oh, Mecha Hitler's pretty cute, though.
I feel like he's misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wants to be loved.
Pure OG.
Pure OG.
Oh, John Cartman.
More of Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Cartman was a projectionist.
Well, they flipped it around, didn't they? Do you remember the changes between Resident Evil 1 and the Director's Cut? They introduced the redhead zombies that you'd kill a zombie and you'd go back and they'd just be there like, what's up with this? I'm waiting for you. Brains. Oh man, video games are mint. We're going on to now horror films based on games or vice versa. Horror films based on games or vice versa.
Okay, I'm going to start this off.
Go it. Take the lead, please.
Again, Resident Evil.
Huh.
So, okay. Not good.
No. Vetoed.
Why?
We've talked about Resident Evil way too much tonight.
Okay,
it's I feel like Capcom are going to sue us.
Films based on games.
Okay.
Silent Hill. Again, not good.
Vetoed. We've talked about Silent Hill too much.
Okay.
Come on. I believe in you. Dig deep. Dig deep. What have we got?
Horror films based on games. Films based on games.
Do you want me to give you some?
Yeah.
Doom.
I ain't seen it.
What?
I know.
What?
You watched it without me.
I watched it years ago. It's so good. Starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Carl Urban. Oh.
Wow. Yeah.
I genuinely... If you're listening to this just on the audio, we're just stuffing our faces full of cream of class.
Why? I feel sick.
Such regret. Doom is mental. It's a proper bonkers film. Like, it even has like a whole section that falls into first person. Because they were like, yeah, Doom was made, the game, in first person, so let's make a quarter of the film in first person. But it's great. Like, I've always said, I think I said this in the first episode that we did, where I hate films where stupid decisions made by supposedly confident people are the driving force behind the film. Do you know what I mean? It's like Prometheus, like, oh, I'm going to slap a space penis. Aliens was amazing because they were like just these incredibly like talented and focused people that were just shockingly overwhelmed. And Doom's the same. Like, it does genuinely feel like all these Marines, they get transported to Mars and just carnage. Oh!
Eclair all over the floor.
But yeah, we should watch Doom, and we should talk about that
Okay.
more. But that's fine when you have watched. Okay, I'll list some off. Alone in the Dark, Christian Slater.
I haven't seen that.
Jesus Christ. So Resident Evil.
Yeah, name some more.
Oh man, it's a tricky one because Alien franchise first, film franchise first, and now obviously spawn of huge. There's a new Aliens game coming out, which is a Colonial Marines one. I don't know what it's called. I think it's out next year. It's got people hyped, but I'm not going to fall for it because I was hyped for Colonial Marines on the 360, and it was trash. It was so bad. I nearly finished this eclair. It's so dry.
You got a drink in front of you, mate.
I don't know, wash down an eclair with a half pint of Coke and rum though.
Oh no. Bad times. Do you want some water?
No. This isn't well saturated, well hydrated horror. Half hydrated. Half hydrated horror. It's half hammered horror.
Wet horror.
Wet.
Oh, that's a whole different thing.
That's an entirely. That would get some listeners for sure. I feel like we've lost the thread of it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had this whole thing where we were like horror movies based on games, and we've genuinely gone blank.
Should we have a break?
No.
And Google some.
No. This is all about knowledge and retention. We've got this. All right, fuck it. Let's talk about Resident Evil because I mean it's a massive franchise and it's current as well because it's being rebooted next year or the year after. So I think it's interesting. So obviously Paul W.S. Anderson directed all of them.
Yeah,
I want to say like 5 or 6. So
I don't even know.
Resident Evil.
Like.
And there was the second one. Then there was Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Resident Evil running around in the friggin'
Resident
desert.
Evil.
Resident Evil can move things with my mind.
Resident Evil do a backflip off a tank. Resident Evil. Resident Evil.
Dog breath.
Resident Evil.
Wheat.
That's a private
Resident
joke.
Evil wheat.
Oh man, Fields of Wheat. Making a film about wheat. Oh, this is I feel like we should explain, but not too much because damaging to our careers, perhaps. We just have this running joke about really arty films that are just basically, oh, I've made a 90-minute film about wheat. And then there's just loads of people in a cinema watching it going, it's fucking brilliant. And they don't know why. They're just frightened.
Life-changing.
They're just frightened to be rumbled. This is like when I was at university and loads of people were doing interesting things. I'm like, Oh, it's very clever. Why is it? Shh. You don't know why it's clever.
I'll tell you what I like about this.
It's all the wheat.
Wheat.
I love all of the various shots of cultivated wheat.
Not a single one of them starred Will Wheaton. Wheaton.
So obviously, Resident Evil Wheat starred Mila Wheatovich, directed by Paul Saggy Anderson.
Wheatsack.
Paul Wheatsack Anderson. Oh man. I mean, like the first one. I mean, I think the problem is with adapting any video game into a film, you've got such a die-hard fan base who are looking at it thinking, come on then.
Yeah, and you know,
Come on.
when Resident Evil 1 film finished and she walked out and there was all the police cars
Into
and there was the
Raccoon City.
music and everyone was like, oh my God. Dun, 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 dun. But it didn't follow through.
No, I actually quite like the first one. It wasn't what I wanted. And I think the problem is that Resident Evil Biohazard was so B-movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was so... Jill, take this key card. You are the master of unlocking. You are almost a Jill sandwich. And then Wesker be like, I don't know where Chris has gone. And it was like, oh my God, the fun you could have with that kind of tone in a film. But I mean, but then again, it's the risk of you just make a film that would really alienate so many people. And I kind of got
they
why.
made it a bit titty. They put some tits in it, in a funky dress, and made a completely new character.
Alice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get me wrong. From like...
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
From the dirty, like, male gaze point of view, like, you know, I know it's problematic, but I'm just a man. You know, the same way that I'm sure that women in 2018 are very, very excited to see Aquaman. You work at a cinema. We've had this conversation. You know that a lot of people you pull into Aquaman are most likely going to be the women that went to see 50 Shades of Grey. They've seen the poster of Jason Momoa stood there with his
coming out of the sea.
Glorious. But let's face it. I mean, I am attracted to Jason Momoa, and I'm a particularly straight fellow. I enjoy the ladies, but I look at him and I just think, well, yeah, fair game. I mean, dear Christ, well done, universe. I mean, he's a sculpted man.
You heard it here first.
No, there it is. There it is. Like, he's a beautiful human being. Like, I just, yeah.
Human being?
Human being. Not being. Human being. He's a human. Did you not know this? He's made of beans. Momoa.
He's definitely not made of beans.
He's made of Momoa beans. Delicious Momoa beans. Yeah, weirdly, like, the whole, I forgot her name. Forgotten Mila Jokovic thing. I know a lot of people got really hyped over her in Fifth Element, but I didn't really see it. I love Fifth Element, but I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit strange. It's quite childlike almost in that film. I didn't. But then Resident Evil 1, I was just like, good morning. The red dress and the leather jacket. It's like when you put your leather jacket on, I'm just like, eyebrows up. Hello. That collision of the feminine and the, I don't know, it's just strange things to the man's brain. My brain, anyway. I'm a bit weird. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was, and it was great. Like the laser grid and the
with the
yeah, they totally stole from Cube though. They
Cube.
totally stole that from Cube, which is a mint little film. But yeah, I don't know. I had flashes of brilliance in the first Resident Evil. Like, is it Rain?
the little girl. You're all going to die in here.
You're all going to die in here of terrible itching. Of a wasting disease.
Of wheat.
So you're going to die of a wheaty disease.
Wheat infection.
Oh, you got a terrible wet wheat infection. Oh, that sounds awful. Yeah. I don't know. I quite enjoyed the first one, and then the next like four or five. I think they blended into each other. I got to a point where I was watching one of them, and I was like, I don't know. I think it's that peril of big horror franchise.
Was the one in 3D?
Yeah. I think there was. I think the final chapter was Resident Evil, the final chapter in 3D.
I think that was when I was working at View.
Yeah. I think it's probably whenever you're
watching it. I watched it through the porthole window a little bit, and I was like, "Why is she in the desert?"
Whenever your main selling point is that your film is in 3D, I think you've got a problem. Whenever you're like, screw the story or the characters or the writing.
Final Destination 3D though.
Again, I mean, not
Piranha 3DD. Take a bit of that.
I saw Drive Angry in 3D, the Nicolas Cage film. Drive Angry, and that was great because the guy making it, who clearly had just it was that time when 3D was, because you don't I mean, we're like maybe what 2 or 3 years out of the big 3D thing, and you don't see as much of it now. Like, it's still around for animation and stuff.
5 years.
5 years, but like nothing's really title of film 3D anymore.
No.
They've stopped doing that now.
You still get people turning up to the cinema like recently.
Is this in 3D?
No, can I have the glasses?
Oh.
Sorry, what? Yeah, the 3D glasses. I mean, yeah, you can have some 3D glasses, but it's not a 3D film.
Do you any favours? But there you go. There you go. Oh, I don't know. It was a weird time. I remember like everything. Do you know what? I saw Dread in 3D. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. Like it was the first film because I went to see Avatar in 3D and I felt really sick. I watched it at a little cinema in York.
Avatar made me redundant.
It did, didn't it? Avatar was like the first wave of digital nonsense. Yeah, I think when you're like your main selling point for your film is that you're like, oh, 3D, wheat in 3D.
Oh, blue wheat.
Blue wheat. Yeah, I think that you got some issues there. You got some problems you got to talk about. You got some problems you got to figure out with your storyline. But Drive Angry 3D, starring Nicolas Cage, was like I think a lot of people were getting it forced on them. I think a lot of people were like making films, and it was like you're gonna put it in 3D, otherwise.
Wait. At this place in the film, I want a coin to fly towards the camera.
I want it to feel like it goes into their heads, embeds itself into their brains. I feel like we've really let ourselves down on the knowledge of horror movies turned into games or vice versa. It's one of those things where you just think you know loads, and then you get there and you go,
yeah, but if that's why I said, shall we Google it? But my phone's on airplane mode.
Yeah, but that's something we should have done before. We should have done the research. We've had a really busy week, and we thought video game horror. Yeah, we know that subject, and we got in here and just went. I suppose in a way, because like, ooh, danger hiccup. Basically, like a whole chocolate eclair fires out, and then I get to eat it again. That'd be nice. I think the thing is, horror gaming is quite niche. Horror gaming turned into film is even nicher, but somehow becomes big blockbuster. Do you know what I mean? Like, Resident Evil is a massive franchise, and I'm certain that 80% of the people that actually went to see Resident Evil, all of them in the cinema, had never actually sat down and played Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I think they were just like, ooh, big action horror movie, let's go.
Yeah.
And if you were like, but have you played Resident Evil 4? They'd be like, oh, is it a game?
But it's not even related, is it? So
no, I don't think they would even have the slightest idea. There was so we got the reboot coming up. We got is it James Wan is rebooting Resident Evil? I think that's right. Awkward if I'm wrong.
just dub it.
I think that's nuts. Like a franchise to be so far in, like so many films in, and then they're like, and we're gonna start again. I think it's cool because it means that there's potentially a good Resident Evil film. And it's not to say I didn't enjoy the Resident Evil films. I mean, they were entertaining. They were big.
I like to think of it as like another dimension of Resident Evil.
Is it Ali Larter? Ali Larter? She plays...
She's in Final Destination.
Yeah.
Not Final Destination. The Robert Rodriguez one. With the kids in the school. Faculty, yeah. Was she?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. It was Josh Hartnett, and Faculty is such a good film. I love The Faculty. But Ali Larter was... I feel like she was Claire Redfield. Because the guy...
That's the face of that girl when she says, I saw her face.
From what?
The Ring. I saw her face.
Yeah, because there's loads of people that you recognise, like the guy from Prison Break. Was Leon... Wentworth Miller played Leon S. Kennedy, which was the most bizarre bit of casting ever, because it was nothing even remotely, and just, it was like, we have an entirely new character, probably called Philip Bleb in the script.
Why they chose him?
It's probably because they wrote a script and went, you know what we should do? We should call this guy Leon S. Kennedy, then the fans would be like, oh. Wesker was pretty close. Like the guy who played Wesker, he had a little bullshit 90s wraparound sunglasses on, and he was like, Chris Redfield. And he was as wooden as the video. And that was part of the charm of the old Capcom games, was they were like, oh my god. Derp. I sometimes do some voiceover stuff, and like one of my first ever voiceover work
I've just realised I'm slouching.
One of my first ever voiceover jobs was in the late 90s in Hull, and I recorded the character. I did like 3 different characters in a survival horror game, which I'm gutted never got released. It was for the PS1, and it never came out. And I remember like I got paid like a small fortune for it. Like being at uni in 1998 and getting paid like they gave me like cash as well, which was bonkers. Like, at the end of the day, they were like, boom, an envelope, and I was like, what? It's crazy.
Was it?
Hey!
Actually, for a video game? What did
Maybe
they
it
make
wasn't.
you say?
I spent like 3 days doing dialogue and going, ugh,
Jamie.
which now makes me wonder what I actually
An envelope full of cash.
provided the sound for. I'm very worried now. What did I do? Somewhere I basically dubbed a porno, didn't I? It was creeping me out. So we're down in a little basement here, and I just do keep hearing it as well. I keep hearing this. Right. So when I used to have the office, again, I used to have the office laid out that I had my back to the door, but I was kind of closer. We had like a big kind of square desk set up in the middle. Remember, like we first moved in, we both used it as an editing space. And one night I was in here on my own, and I heard a small jingle of a couple of coins tumbling down the stairs outside. And I was just like, nope. I packed up and I walked home, and all the way home I had this weird...
That's not what you told me.
What?
You told me you ran home.
I ran home. I walked, I would say I walked home briskly, and all the way home I had this like weird, like prickly sensation at the back of my head, and it just was horrible. I think after that, it's very rarely I've been in here after like 1 a.m. I've done some late sessions, but I think that time there was like, you were away, weren't you? You were away at your mum's or something, and I was in here on my own, and I freaked out a little bit. It's quite a spooky place to be if you just listen. Jamie, kill your children. What is it? Do you know what I'm going to do? Next time I might set a camera up outside so we can catch some weird shit going on, so we can flick over to the outdoors cam. So we're gonna start swerving our way into the end now. We start wrapping up. I think we've got another 10-15 minutes left to go. We're going to talk about things we would like to see, and this is related to horror.
A cat wearing a Christmas jumper.
God damn it, William! Stay on topic. What is wrong with you? I can't work underneath these goddamn situations any further.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. La-di-da.
Games you would like to see. Fucking Dead Space, man.
Made into a film.
Dead Space made into... Oh, give it to me.
Who would you cast?
Give it to me. As Isaac? Okay.
Can't see yourself.
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton.
Fight Club. Where is he these days? Holy shit.
He died.
No, he didn't. I haven't seen Ed Norton in something for quite a while, actually. I think Ed Norton would be a very good Isaac, because it needs to be someone that doesn't look like he's meant to be an engineer. It needs to be someone that looks like they're just a normal dude and he plays that very well. And also he's a crazy good actor. Ed Norton as Isaac.
Okay.
I'll be all the xenomorphs. Necromorphs. I'll be all the...
I'll think about this.
Blow my arms off, you fuck!
Oh, okay.
No one! Shoot my arm! Oh!
Pew, pew.
Oh! Just got the top off. Stab.
Like a Christmas ham.
Why was it?
I was going to say turkey and then...
What a Mickey Mouse! Necromouse!
Necromouse.
There's the crossover you never knew you wanted. Kingdom Hearts meets Dead Space.
Ooh.
Would watch, play, / buy.
I think I would like to see Outlast.
Okay. I mean, I never got far
Because
enough
it's
into it.
quite cinematic already.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see, the full story, because I can't play it because I'm too terrible.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I got like half an hour into it before I bailed. And I know I should go back and finish it.
I've seen Sean play it.
So I don't know enough about the story to play it. I feel like with Dead Space, you could probably like lean into like early, like Ridley Scott, James Cameron, Aliens. What is it? What was it?
Some eclair on your face,
Just-
right?
I'm saving that for later on. What is wrong with you? You've ruined my life. You've taken my last bit of eclair away.
Took my eclair right out of my beard.
I'd like to see a Resident Evil film that goes horror. Goes
I
really
think
horror.
Your dreams are about to come true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there are elements of the first Resident Evil where I was like, the bit when the guy gets stuck on the pipes. When they're all trying to get, it's all the zombies underneath them and they're trying to get up onto the pipes and they're all
I'm stuck on some pipes.
Oh, I'm stuck on some pipes, some wheaty pipes.
Oh, I know what we've not talked about.
What?
Oh, I'm so sorry to bring it back,
What?
but the video game with the zombies and the dude called Frank, what's it called? Dead
Rising.
Yeah.
Which was made into a film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dead Rising.
And it wasn't very good.
There was there wasn't a 2. There was Dead Rising, and then there was Dead Rising Watchtower.
Yeah.
With Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
Peter.
Oh, I
Voice
should have
of-
remembered that earlier.
Voice of
Joe Swanson.
Yeah. Peter, I can't help but noticing that Peter. I can only say Peter in his voice, and beyond that, Peter. And then try and say more, Peter, it's ruined. Yeah, he was in it as I ever remember, man. Like that was just like, oh. I mean, the thing is, like, there's not even a great storyline to Dead Rising. Dead Rising's a lot of fun, but it's basically just like zombie smash 'em up. It's just the whole like novelty and gimmick of Dead Rising is that there are thousands of zombies that you can destroy, and there's a whole like thing based around how many you can kill in a certain amount of time. So to try and make a film based on that, you've got very weak beginnings. Like it
You
wasn't
have to be loosely based.
Yeah, it didn't need a
Inspired by.
storyline. It was just basically smash up them zombs. So to try and make a film based on that is just like that's a rough beginning right there.
Basically, yeah, Dead Island. What was the name of the film that we saw with Alex Zane in it?
Ibiza Undead.
Yeah, that basically was Dead Island. Like, well, kind of like
Yeah, well, I mean,
The idea.
Similarities ended.
some zombies in the sun.
Zombies on a resort. I loved Ibiza Undead.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Ibiza Undead. It was really great. We met the director of Ibiza Undead at MCM a few years back, and he was an absolute dude. And Andy Edwards. I really enjoyed Ibiza Undead. We've never made a zombie film. I don't know if we ever will. I think we've always said if we make a zombie film, it needs to have a sort of real angle to it. It needs to be a real interesting idea. And actually, oddly, our next feature, which we're making, hopefully, we're aiming at like 2020, 2021, if everything goes right. It began its life as a zombie film, didn't it? A fest, as it's called. As you heard it, breaking news. Parked at the end of a podcast that no one's ever going to get this far into. It started its life as this first sort of synopsis, the first treatment of the script was a zombie film, and it's now become a big, heavy creature feature. Lots of like classic sort of Universal Studio monsters leading into that sort of thing. But yeah, more on that in the future. Yeah, I would love to see someone do a Resident Evil film that really kind of honors the source material, but does something accessible with it. And I think that's the thing, is like it's all well and good saying like, oh, the Resident Evil films are nothing like the games, but if somebody made a pure translation of Resident Evil into a game, it would be a very difficult watch.
I'd still watch it.
Because,
I want to see some really good Resident Evil monsters.
Yeah.
Like, that won't be too difficult.
And that was Silent Hill did that. Like Pyramid Head in Silent Hill, spot on. Like they just lifted him from the game, put him in the film, and the Cian Bian version of Silent, I really enjoyed that. I really did like it.
I hated it the first time I watched it, but the second time and the third time and the fourth time, I thought
and then what's the second one? Did it have Jon Snow in it, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Resident Evil.
Oh, I've only seen that once. I don't remember what
Flaps,
I thought about
whatever
it.
it's called. Resident Evil.
Silent Hill.
Yeah, Silent Hill, shredded nips, shredded wheats. I don't know. Ugh, name your films in a more interesting way. That's all I'm going to say.
Silent Hill, Wheat Watch.
That's kind of it, really. We kind of talked about a lot of stuff. Maybe some things at the same time. I don't feel like we've not flopped as much as we did in the first one. I feel like with the desk and the upright chairs was a good choice. We've done very well. I feel like we're basically like a pissed up version of the broom cupboard at this point. Yeah, we're basically
I like a higher chair.
Yeah?
A higher chair. Some stools, I think.
So you think when we go from stools, we'll invest in some fold up stools.
Floppy stools.
As again, this is it's a work in progress.
I'd like to be more like this.
You see, I am like that because I'm naturally
tuck my little legs in. There's no
naturally
because of the shelves. You know, much like
love the
lady's dress with pockets in.
Thanks, mate.
I find that I don't have anywhere to put my knees. So if I want to lean on the desk, I have to be like Bob's out.
Bob's out. So in the future, we'll hire chairs. Hopefully, someone hiding in the shadows, telling us that we're waffling and talking too much nonsense. More wheat.
You've got cat hair in your beard.
I don't have a cat hair. I haven't even been near our cats for about 10 hours. Neglectful parent. Laura went home to feed them. What? You've had them when you went home. Yeah, come on. You don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. The idea is that we're going to put one of these out every second Thursday. And next week on Half Hammered Horror, we will be talking about Christmas horror films.
And we'll have prepared some knowledge.
We will have watched at least 7. I'm going to say one every 2 nights between now and next time we're here.
Fair.
At least 7 Christmas horror films. I'm thinking we're going to go. We'll go. Obviously, we'll go Krampus. Krampus is one.
Krampus.
With the dude who is the guy who's in everything. Adam Scott.
Yeah.
Adam Scott. If you look closely at Gone with the Wind, Adam Scott's in the background.
I don't think that's that.
He's there as a baby. Or a sperm. I don't know how old he is. I'm assuming he's like in his early 40s. Adam Scott, quick side note, I always find it interesting that he's not in the Marvel universe yet. He strikes me as a man that will be there at some point. Adam Scott. I feel like he's going to be the he's the next Paul Rudd.
He's not. Because you know who he plays?
Who?
Thanos' left bollock.
That is not true.
It's not true.
On that bombshell, you've been watching Half Hammered Horror with me, Jamie Fandango McCracken.
And me, Laura.
Cozy Tits Williams. Good night.